Welcome to Financial Fitness. I'm your host, Paul Gebhardt, with my guests today, Jim and Dan Vitu of Vitu Financial Services.
Hello, Paul. Paul, how are you?
I'm good, guys. Good to see you again.
Yeah,
so what's new in life, right? What's new?
Everything's new.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're coming out of COVID. Freedom finally, right?
Yeah.
Freedom. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Mandates are
I won't
starting
do
to be
that. I'll stick-
lifted. People are starting to get out and about. Beating down our door because the first thing they want to do is talk about retirement planning.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you get a couple of people say, you know, Jim, I spent a little bit more money than I planned on?
Actually, we had a lot of clients saying we didn't spend as much because there was nothing to do and nowhere to go for the last year and a half.
Great point. Saved a ton of money on travel. Why? Because I didn't go anywhere.
And then with the whole, so my generation is slightly different than my son Dan's.
You didn't notice.
A lot of people approaching retirement with all the new changes going on with work and finances and taxes and government stuff and everything going on. A lot of people have come in saying, I'm done. I've had I don't want to redefine myself for the 37th time. Do we have enough? Can I retire? I'm only 63. I'm 64. Can I retire now?
Yeah.
And we go through the process to find out, can you retire now?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. You talked about redefining. Let's stick with that word for a minute, because today I'm on word association. That's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Today's word is redefining. On redefining, we talk a lot about retirement. But let's be honest, there's a lot of young folks, different generations, where retirement to them may not really mean what it means to our generation, maybe our parents' generation. It's more of transitioning. And things. What do you say to folks out there that when they look at the general retirement timeline, right? When should they start really planning for that? And should we really be looking at it a little differently about maybe career path transitioning? And I'll start with you on that one.
Yeah,
What do you
absolutely.
think?
So, I'm going to refer to it as your generation. In your generation.
My generation.
I think that's compliment. I'm not.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a
it's just a
compliment.
fact.
It's a compliment.
Right.
It's a compliment.
Yeah, the sun's not digging you down.
But I feel like it's been much more step by step.
Yeah.
As we went over it, we've switched to a much more self-reliant retirement. But,
Yes.
that's my generation. In your generation, it's been much more step by step. So that process typically starts at 62, 65, as you're getting close to quitting whatever job that is, whatever career you're in. My generation, it's a little different. It's a little more fluid. People look at their career as more of a lifestyle, something they can continue throughout their entire life. So there's really no set in stone, whether it's either generation, time to start. It's just the earlier the better. As long as you go into it with a plan, then you're in good shape.
Yeah, good stuff. So even let's say the youngest of people, is there a point where someone could be too young for maybe a parent or grandparent to even talk to them about the importance of a financial plan?
Well, financial planning, of course, should take place at all ages. When you say, is they're too young to talk about retirement planning, well, maybe we're stretching that definition. But as far as financial planning go, no, parents and grandparents could absolutely help their children and grandchildren by showing them proper techniques about how to save a little money. Don't spend everything. Don't live above your means,
Yes.
those kind of things. There's tons of lessons, and those are all throughout life. And that's not just parents and grandparents teaching kids and grandkids. Sometimes it's the other way around.
Right.
Because some of us, maybe we haven't been as diligent about our savings and other factors. So the whole retirement planning process, I like to refer to it more as like the next chapter.
Yes.
So, our parents' generation was, we had the pension, it's you stopped working at 65 and you just sort of rode off into the sunset. But now there's so many more options. There's so many more goals people have. So when they get to that retirement age, it's what's the next chapter? What are we going to start next? What are we going to do next? Are we going to stay local? Are we going to move? Are we going to travel? Now that hopefully we can start traveling more.
Yeah, right.
I mean, eventually, I'm assuming we'll be able to start traveling more.
Yeah.
But what do we want to do? Do we want to go back to school? We have so many options, and how do we help build that into a retirement plan is what we do, because everybody's situation is different. So we don't have a cookie cutter that we follow for this.
See, and I think, and that's what's important, I think, really to grab, is because there is no right or wrong time, but you just know you got to take an active plan approach to planning, right? You have to get involved in it, and you have to start somewhere, right?
It's scary.
Yeah.
I know that. I've been
Yeah.
doing this for over 30 years.
Yes.
It's very scary.
Yep.
There's so many unknowns. I like to say a lot of people don't know what they don't know.
Right, that's
It's,
exactly
you know,
where I'm
I've got
going.
this Social Security thing and taxes I'm worried about, and I don't know what a 401k and how this all works and when I take money. So I know it's scary, but you have to take some action. You have to take the first step. There's tons of qualified people out there that can answer these questions and help you build a plan. Our office is happy to help, but it's all about having a plan, and then we just take you down that path step by step. We're with you the whole way.
And some people almost seem to be pseudo embarrassed to come in. You know, they haven't started, they've waited too long, they're past the point that we can help. That's a terrible plan. You know, that isn't a plan. Hope is no plan. So we just say come in, and even if it's just to get yourself organized, just to figure out what you have and where it's located and how it works, that's the first step. It's just to have that conversation to see where you're at.
I want to add one thing to that, because hope is a plan, believe it or not. If you have hope, then you make the plan.
Right.
Even if you've
good
made
point.
some decisions along the way you're not proud of. Maybe you're not comfortable with the mistakes you made. Maybe you don't want to share them. But having that hope and understanding that there is someone to help you make that next step, which might be that very plan. Because how do you know it's too late? Whose perspective are we talking about here?
Exactly.
Right.
Where are you?
So when you come in, that's what we do. We have a conversation to say,
Yeah.
what are we trying to, where are we? What are we
Yeah.
trying to do? I always say the first visit, just leave your checkbook at home. We're not interested in that. We're interested, you're going to find out about us. We're going to talk about us and how we work. You're going to share whatever you'd like to share with us. Bring statements, don't bring statements, I don't care. It's really just about, okay, we're trying to figure out, okay, here's where you are, here's where you want to be, how do we get there, is it possible, do we have to make changes, maybe, maybe not, I don't know, everybody's different.
So a lot of that starts with their questions, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Their question,
and there's no, if you go back to school days, there's no such thing as a silly question.
I agree with that.
Because, you know, sometimes as financial professionals as we are, everybody's got their own jargon. And sometimes, you know, what we think is really baseline stuff, people
Yep.
are like, nope, I don't get it. So we try to go at whatever pace you need us to go at. I don't have a set agenda that, oh, we have to accomplish X, Y, and Z by certain deadlines, government-related deadlines, of course we have to follow, but it's all about just making sure you're on your proper path.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. We're talking about this subject, and it's going to sound like I'm going off rails again, but this one is really important. They say the smartest people in the world aren't the people who talk. They're the people who listen.
I would agree.
And I think there's incredible...
I'm listening right now, Paul.
But seriously, let's think about this for a minute. This is incredible stuff. When you think about listening, a lot of times we dismiss conversations we have because we think we already know. But the challenge is, what if there's one other point, one aspect that we didn't consider that somebody else shares with us, but we didn't catch it because we already dismissed it?
Especially in our world today.
Yeah.
Things seem very polarized one way or another. So it isn't about expressing a point of view. It's about sometimes bashing your idea down the throat of the next guy.
So true.
And it isn't about that. It's about a conversation.
Yes.
That's why I think Dan and I work so well together, because he brings a different perspective than I do.
Yeah.
And it's easy to see, oh, okay, well, that's a great way to think about that. We do that all the time. So it's all about just what's in the best interest of our clients. So I know we're fiduciaries, and you know, we have all those things that has become such a popular thing to say these days, but we've been practicing fiduciaries for a while. So it isn't, this is something we really do share with our clients. It is important to us that they're successful.
Yeah.
Like that is, it isn't anything more than just making sure, okay, well, this makes sense for you. It isn't like, oh, this makes sense for you because it makes sense for us. I'm not, those days are behind me.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way.
they're gone. That's good. And it's a good analogy that you shared there. That's why I wanted them to make that poignant part. You know, I know there's a lot of information out there, and a lot of us do have a lot of stuff, and we know quite a bit. But there's always aspects and different perspectives to the why. And that stuff can be incredibly valuable to you if you take the chance to listen. Listen. So with that being said, they're listening.
I hope so.
Yeah. What would you like to share with them today? The offer that you have? Would you mind?
Yeah, so we're going to provide for the first 10 people that
Yeah.
complimentary retirement plan. We're basically going to take their stack of stuff and we're going to combine that into a plan that weaves together their whole retirement and from a financial aspect. So anything they want to do with that, great, but we're going to put together that financial plan so that they can go into retirement and not worry about where their money's coming from.
Yeah, I love that. And again, that's completely complimentary, ladies and gentlemen. And I've seen these things cost upwards of $1,500 because there's time, energy, resources, knowledge that goes into getting to know you and helping you develop that plan, right? You're in charge. And it starts by picking up the phone, reserving your spot. 866-356-8889. We got to take a quick break, but we're going to be right back after these messages.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go? And who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back to Financial Fitness. I'm your host, Paul Gebhard, with my good friends here, Dan and Jim Vitu, father and son
Yes.
of Vitu Financial Services.
Just to be clear, I'm the dad.
Okay, good. I'm glad you cleared that up because, don't adjust your screen yet. Listen, we were talking about the different aspects of listening and why that's important. And I wanted to stress that to my viewer because I do want them to realize that the best component to hiring someone to represent you is their willingness to listen to you. That's where it starts. If you want the solid foundation, make sure you have people you believe are listening to you first, because only good things are going to come out of that.
Well, and guys in our world have done such a good job of giving off the aura of just being a snake. You sit in front of me as a client or as a prospect, and all I'm seeing are dollar signs.
Yeah.
No matter what you're telling me, I'm just thinking of how can I sell you whatever I have to sell. So in our office, it's very conversational. It's much more fun in that it's just a conversation to say, okay, do I get along with you? Do you get along with me? There's no sale involved. There's nothing like that at all in those conversations. It's just, do we like each other? Do we get along? Could we work together?
Yeah. I wanted to ask you guys, I want to jump into a topic now, switching a little bit of gears, 401ks. Let's talk 401ks a bit. Because there are people that have taken buyouts early.
Sure.
Maybe they've career transitioned into whatever. Maybe it's a philanthropical path. Or maybe they're just literally at retirement and they have a 401k that's at their employer.
Right.
What are some of their options? What can they do?
Well, there's lots of options, especially now that we're coming through the COVID. There's been lots of buyouts, early retirements, those kind of things. And people at home are probably sitting there. I've got this 401k. What do I do with it? Do I leave with the employer?
Yeah.
Do I transfer it? What am I supposed to do with this? So there's a lot of different options, and we never use the cookie cutter approach, like you go from here automatically to here. No, because everybody's situation is different. So maybe it's okay to leave it with the employer because you understand how the process works, you understand the product selections within there, and that's fine. Maybe it makes sense to make some changes to it. That's fine. Maybe it makes sense to roll it to a new employer if you went to a new employer. Everybody's situation is different, so we really have to sit down and talk to that person one-on-one. I can't just give you okay, this is the automatic
Yeah.
way you do this, because how you look at that piece could affect other pieces of the retirement puzzle, which again is what makes people nervous. It's like, well, I don't want to upset this because it could upset something that I don't even recognize. So talking to a professional like me or Dan, there's lots of good ones out there, but it's about just having the courage to just talk to somebody, because there's plenty of us that are out there that will just talk to you.
Yeah.
It's just a conversation.
Yep.
We don't automatically always see dollar signs for somebody who comes in. And I like to think Dan and I make it fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this
I have fun.
typically isn't a fun thing to talk about, but we have a lot of fun doing it. And we always follow all the government regulations, and we always take care of the important stuff. But there's no reason why we can't have a little fun with it too.
Yeah. You know what the funnest things are? To see people realize those goals, to see
Oh,
those
yeah.
dreams, and see how it impacts their life.
I mean, that's what brought me over here, if we're
Yeah.
being honest, is I was
Yeah.
in the corporate world and I didn't really feel like I was making a difference for anybody. I was just a cog in a wheel, so to speak, and coming over here and seeing that I can make a real impact and seeing how happy these people are when their plan works and they are in retirement, not worried about their money, and most of our meetings are just catching up on, how was your last trip, how are the grandkids, that kind of a thing. That's what's fun, that's what's impactful, and that's what really brings me coming back every day.
Yeah.
Right. We've worked for 40, 45 years and we've accumulated this stuff, and now it's about, okay, what's the next chapter? What's the next fun thing we want to do? Do we want to travel and all those other things? So how do we make that happen?
Absolutely. There's a lot to be said for what we're talking about planning, because there's concepts out there. A lot of folks talk about the live in the now, right? Being present in the moment. And I totally agree with all of that. But boy, understanding how much of your financial plan really impacts how you do that.
Oh, sure.
Your psychological peace of mind, what's that worth?
So financial peace of mind, to me, the concept of financial peace of mind isn't to have all the money in the world, that
Yeah.
we have millions and millions and millions of dollars. If that brings you peace of mind, that's wonderful.
Great, yeah.
But to me, financial peace of mind is you aren't constantly worried about money.
Yeah.
It isn't a constant, I get up, I think about it. I go
I
through
don't
my
sleep.
day, I think about it. I
Right.
don't sleep, I think about it. It's supposed to be, I know I have enough, I have a plan I'm confident in my advisors, and then I can go and explore going back to school. I can take adult education classes. I can take that trip, and I know it's going to work. And then we just make changes along the way as life presents changes along the way.
Solid information. I wanted to ask you guys a little bit about Roth conversions, because I know we get a lot of questions from viewers on the Roth conversion process. And a lot of people think that, maybe they don't qualify for Roth conversion because they think, if they made too much money during the accumulation phase and didn't qualify for it, that it's just not an option for them later
Sure.
on. But that's not true, is it?
No, that's not true. So if you were to start a Roth, then we might have to get into those earnings limits and everything.
Yeah.
But there's no limit in terms of the conversion. So that's a very hot topic, like you said, with taxation and those changes that are forthcoming when that finally does happen. But the conversion idea does make sense for a lot of people. And basically the idea of it is you pay tax on the money now, and it's tax-free later on. So in terms of the earnings limits, those aren't any there. But everybody's different, because we don't want to upset the apple cart in the here and now with taxes by declaring some as taxable income this year in the hopes that down the road comes, because what if down the road doesn't come? So again, it just goes back into it. It's a piece of the plan that we work out
See,
for
Paul,
everybody.
that's another one of the super fun things we talk about when you come in
Yeah.
to talk to us, is we do some tax planning.
Yeah.
That's not tax preparation, where you're filling out the 1040 and those kind of things that you have your tax professional do. The tax planning is, does a Roth conversion make sense? And I know it's not the funnest thing in the world to talk about. Sometimes it can be a little dry.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot dry.
Yeah.
But
You know what?
But we do that.
That's good stuff. And I think we're going to talk about that more after we go to break. But
Sure.
Yeah.
real quick, would you remind the viewer out there what you guys are offering today?
Yeah, so we're going to offer that complimentary plan, that full complimentary whole plan, where it'll basically send them through their retirement knowing where their money's coming from. We're going to intertwine everything they have, that whole stack of papers. We're going to intertwine that together so they know where their money's coming from.
Love it. Getting you to, through, an enjoyable retirement. That's what it's about.
Right.
Nice.
Right?
I like that.
Right.
All you got to do is take the action. Put someone to work for you. Make sure that your money's working for you. That's what we're talking about. It's a completely complimentary review. There's only a few spots available, but one of them has your name on it. All you got to do 866-356-8889. We're going to take a quick break, but we're going to be right back after these messages.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Financial Fitness. I'm your host, Paul Gebhardt, with my friends, Jim and Dan Vatu of Vatu Financial Services. Thanks again, you guys.
Sure.
Another incredible segment on 401ks, Roth conversions, and just all things life and fun.
Fun.
We keep talking about this.
Super fun.
Jim keeps reminding me, Paul, I just want to have fun. And that's what I love about you, man. I love that. Don't we all?
Right.
So, guys, we're going to make some fun out of a topic. It's a tough one. This is like the second biggest question I get. I get it constantly. Number one, we all know, right? Folks are afraid to death they're going to outlive their money in retirement. Right? But the next one is, hey, I got this nest egg of money, Paul. What happens if I have a major health concern that bleeds that nest egg dry?
Sure.
What can I do? Is there anything I can do?
Well, of course. So one of the functions we serve as your retirement planners is to help you build a long-term care plan. So when I say that, and I've said that for years, people automatically think I'm now talking about long-term care insurance. And maybe that's a piece of the plan. I'm talking about how should you maybe have things titled. So we have attorneys that we can refer you to, so things like that. But it's how do we avoid that big pitfall? So we've worked all these years. We've saved. We're now into retirement, and you're going into retirement with the spouse you've had for 35, 40, 45 years, and now there's a sudden health issue. So, and I've seen it before, unfortunately. You are going to spend every nickel you've got on your beautiful bride, and she's going to spend every nickel she's got on you to take care of you. And then what happens is you're left with a home and a small Social Security check, and you've lost that spouse. So how do we avoid that pitfall if possible? How do we look at, are there other avenues we can look at? And maybe insurance is a component you look at, but how does it all fit together? And that becomes something that's sort of like the tax planning feature. We don't just accomplish, in June of this year and we never worry about it again. It's a constant, I use the garden analogy.
Yeah.
It's like you're tending a garden.
Yeah.
I mean, you're constantly sort of looking at angles as we go along the path. Do we look at it every day? No. If a health concerns comes a little sooner than our plan was potentially ready, well, maybe we have to go through a little bit of a fire drill to make things happen, but how do we approach it? So I always say the first two questions you want to ask yourself, should a long-term health care issue arise, is the first one would be, well, where do I want to receive the care? Most people want to receive it in the house. So is that an option? Or no, I've had a lot of family at this facility, and that's the idea. And then the second question you would want to look at was, okay, well, what money is available and where? And if I need access to that, how's that going to work? What's it going to cost me? Are there tax implications? So you sort of start looking at that. So that's just the first phase. And then we start building from there, like, okay, well, what assets are available? How do we start approaching that? And we go from there.
Yeah, that long-term care plan we view as running parallel to the overall retirement plan. It's a big piece of it. We just want to be ready in the case that long-term care services are needed. We know where we're going to go to get that money without messing up the entire overall plan.
Yeah, and with the cost of long-term care
Right.
today, guys, I mean, I've heard
Oh, boy.
some of it's like $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month.
Yep.
You know,
Skilled
to be-
care
it's-
facilities
yeah.
can be that expensive. So even though you might think you have a large nest egg, all of a sudden, a number of years in that skilled facility can really put what I call the standing spouse in a really tough situation. So how can we address things? How do we look at things? And that just starts with a conversation. We look at the situation and say, okay, well, this is how we might want to start approaching this.
Yeah.
This is, some ideas we may want to start investigating.
Yeah, good stuff. So now the challenge is, here's a trick. You were supposed to make that fun. How are we going to do
Oh,
that?
it's so much fun. You can't even believe it. It's party time.
See, he thought I forgot. I did not forgot. I did not forgot.
Well, so
My
hopefully,
English teacher, if you're out there, I'm sorry.
if we do a nice job, then it is kind of fun because we know we've addressed that big risk. So
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
addressing it. So.
But there is a little bit of work required. I mean, as
Yeah.
fun as it is, there is some work needed up front to get this process started, to have that initial conversation, to kind of let somebody in to help you build that plan.
But work is fun.
I was just-
have fun at work. You have fun at
Hey,
work.
why'd you
You
do-
have fun at work.
True.
I'm supposed to be hosting
Well,
the show.
you
Why are you
know,
keep taking words out of my mouth?
That's what Danny always
This
said.
guy, I'll tell you what. But true.
Yeah.
Work should be fun.
Right.
And the key is, if it's doing what you want, if it's with the people that you want, the common denominator here, you choosing, you being in control, you taking the reins of this financial future, and then deciding who is the partner I most trust to get me to that destination. All you have to do is reach out for this complimentary review. Pick up the phone, call them. Father-son team, great guys, funner than heck. 866-356-8889. What do you want your tomorrow to look like? Find out today. You're in control. Be with who you want. Do what you want. Meanwhile, I want to thank you for being with us today. I want to thank my guests, the Vatus.
Thank you, Paul.
I want you all to be blessed and be well. Take care of yourselves, everybody.